And we sue companies or bring legal actions against companies for not disclosing what's in their products. And we see so many companies that aren't really telling the full story about what's in their products, and people are buying these products. So, that sounds really bad and hopeless. It's like we're all being screwed. But I also want people to know it's really important that you can manage your exposure to toxic chemicals and markedly reduce your exposure to them for yourself and for your kids. But we have to wake up. We have to know what we're buying when we're shopping. And I wrote Raising Healthy Kids, Protecting Your Children from Hidden Chemical Toxins. I go into all of this and I make it manageable. And I only mention this because we can talk about a lot of bad news, but I want everyone listening to know that this is a new world, but we can handle it. And we're the adults and we can protect our kids.
Do you want to wake up feeling like you're stepping into who you're meant to be, into the best possible version of you? What if I told you that the key to your best life, health, and happiness are all around you? You just have to find what works for you. I'm Hope Pedraza, and I believe that there isn't just one way to live a healthy and meaningful life, and that all you need is a little inspiration to make changes that last from the inside out. Each week, I'll be sharing tangible tips and inspirational interviews to help you on your journey. These are the steps to take to improve your life and live with purpose. This is Hopeful and Wholesome. Hey y'all, welcome back to Hopeful and Wholesome. Today I have on the show David Steinman. He is the author of the best-selling Diet for a Poisoned Planet, Safe Trip to Eden, The Safe Shopper's Bible, and his upcoming book that I'm really excited to introduce y'all to, Raising Healthy Kids, How to Protect Your Children from the Hidden Chemical Toxins in Our Everyday Lives. He served as a representative of the public interest at the National Academy of Sciences and is a chief officer of the nonprofit Healthy Living Foundation, which is the state of California's most active and effective consumer advocacy group. And that is really what he has dedicated his life to. David has, and he'll tell you in this interview, he has brought forth so many issues and helping protect all of us from chemicals that have been deemed quote unquote safe by our government. He has been brought forth to speak in front of testifying, going in front of Congress, jury trials, all the things. And we were talking today about living what it looks like to live a toxic free life and really looking at these hidden chemicals. We're going to talk about some specific hidden chemicals that are just in everyday things that we may or may not know about, how it's affecting our bodies, how it's affecting long term. And that's really what his new book is about, really, is protecting your kids so that we're kind of stopping this cycle of just being inundated with this toxic sludge that we're just exposed to each and every day. So we're going to talk about some alternatives. We're going to talk about some of the chemicals that are most prevalent, ones that are the most dangerous, why, where they come from, how we can avoid them. And he's even going to talk about some tips on how to save money. I know sometimes we can think it's more expensive to buy cleaner products or materials or cleaner foods, right? But he's going to talk about some ways where it doesn't have to be. So it's a really insightful conversation. And I'm telling you, David knows a lot. He's seen a lot, he knows a lot, and he's got so much to teach us. And I really encourage you to go get his book. And by the time this comes out, it might be out, or you can pre-order the book because it's really gonna have a huge impact on how you live, how you're raising your kids, and really just being able to really take a stand on limiting our toxic exposure, which is helping overall health. So let's jump into this episode. All right, y'all, let's jump in. I'm here with David, and I'm so excited to have this conversation about toxins and chemicals and all the things David is such an expert in. So thanks so much for joining us today, David.
Oh, Hope, I'm so happy to be here today.
Yeah, same. Okay. So like I said, you are the expert. I mean, you've got books, you've got all kinds of things talking about chemicals and all about keeping families healthy and safe and all that. So I would first just like to have you just kind of give the listeners an insight on how you got into this field and how you got so passionate about what it is that you do with chemicals and toxins and helping us live this toxic free life.
Well, I think that we all have our stories, and I think most of us come here from an exposure experience. I grew up in Los Angeles, California, and fished all as a child and through my 20s, and I ate all the fish too, and or gave it to my family and friends. What I didn't know is that Montrose Chemical was manufacturing DDT in Los Angeles and barging 2,000 tons of waste sludge to the fishing hole, the Santa Monica Bay where I fished, and they dumped it in there, Hope. And I ate the fish and I fed it to my family and my friends ate it. And then when I was an investigative reporter for a paper in Los Angeles, we actually went around to all the fishing piers after exposing that the DDT had been dumped, and we found very high levels of both DDT and PCB in the people who are eating the most fish caught from the Santa Monica Bay compared to
Mm,
people who weren't eating fish from the bay. It was a really stark difference.
yeah.
That material was all published in the scientific literature. I testified before Congress. We got the Santa Monica Bay designated as a Superfund site, and it was kind of invigorating to do that kind of journalism. I tested my own blood during that study. I had really high levels too. And I think one of the reasons why maybe I have fared better than some of the people in the study who developed cancer is that as soon as I learned about it, I started to ask, well, what can I do to stop accumulating this poison?
Right.
And that's when people, because a lot of the people were fishermen and women, they were saying, well, what else can I eat? So I looked at all the other food and I wrote Diet for a Poisoned Planet, which was a bestseller. And that's how I came to be involved in this.
That is crazy. And I mean, wow. I just so some of the people that were in this that you tested, like some of these people did end up getting cancer from these chemicals that were dumped into the bay.
Yeah, one man who was in the study, he was a Japanese American fellow, and he was fishing at the Venice Pier, and he had a bucket full of what are called white croakers. And we asked him, can we take your blood? And we had to do a little sales pitch. We had to tell him he would learn what was in his blood and stuff. And I was talking to him. I said, what do you do? And he said, oh, I'm a postal worker. Oh, I said, do you still carry mail? And he said, no, I have liver cancer.
Mm.
And when he looked at all the fish that he was eating and he realized that DDT causes liver cancer, and he had been eating those fish all his life,
Oh my
you kind
gosh.
of understand that he was dosing himself every day.
Mm.
I met another woman who was nursing her baby, probably about 6 months old at the time, and she was barbecuing perch that they were catching in the Santa Monica Bay and giving them to her kids. And we measured her blood. She had like 140 parts per billion of DDT in it, which is a really, really high level. But all that DDT was going to her children through her
Mm.
breast milk.
Hmm.
And it was a really, really difficult situation when we delivered the news because she was asking, well, who's protecting me? Who's
Right.
protecting my kids?
Right.
And the answer is, Mom, nobody's protecting them. We got to
Hmm.
do it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the frustrating thing. And I think so. I think this has been such a hot topic lately in maybe in the little bubble that I live in. But I feel like, we talk about the diet, we talk about all the things that help us live, live longer and live healthy or whatever. But I really think that we're starting to realize that what makes the biggest impact is how toxic the world is that we live in and how it's just just like you're talking about the fish, the postal man who he'd been eating. It's just this compound effect. He'd been eating this fish his whole life, and it's like you said, he'd been dosing himself every day. And I think what's frustrating to us as innocent people in this is it's like we don't realize what we're dosing ourselves with every day with the stuff that are filled with chemicals that we don't even know is in it.
No, no, we don't. You're right, Hope. We're not being told. And I am the chief officer for a nonprofit group called Chemical Toxin Working Group or Healthy Living Foundation. And we sue companies or bring legal actions against companies for not disclosing what's in their products. And we see so many companies that aren't really telling the full story about what's in their products, and people are buying these products.
Right.
So, that sounds really bad and hopeless. It's like we're all being screwed.
Right.
But
Right.
I also want people to know it's really important that you can manage your exposure to toxic chemicals and markedly reduce your exposure to them for yourself and for your kids. But we have to wake up. We have to know what we're buying when we're shopping.
Right.
And I wrote Raising Healthy Kids, Protecting Your Children from Hidden Chemical Toxins, which is my new book, and it'll be out with Skyhorse in April.
Mm.
And I go into all of this and I make it manageable. And I only mention this because we can talk about a lot of bad news, but I want everyone listening to know that this is a new world, but we can handle it. And we're
Hmm.
the adults and we can protect our kids.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, and let's talk about that, like ways we can do that. So I would love for you, I mean, I know this, I mean, we could probably talk about this for hours because you've done this for so long and you know so much about all this. But if we can just kind of hit on some of the heaviest hitters, like what do you, so first, I would love for you, if you could narrow it down, what do you think is the most prevalent chemical, like the thing that's in like everything that we're exposed to all the time?
Well, everyone is talking about chemicals like PFAS and phthalates.
Hmm.
And I'll just share those are two of the most prevalent. PFAS are chemicals that are used for stain-resistant fabrics, for fighting fires, for Teflon pans. They don't break down and they cause cancer, kidney, liver disease, and they're being found in a lot of people's tap water. So one, I immediately tell folks that they should filter their tap water.
Hmm.
You don't, you can spend $300 to $500 on testing, but I think it's much smarter to spend $50 and buy a faucet filter for your tap and a pitcher filter and use both.
Right.
It goes through the faucet filter and then your pitcher filter and filter your tap water because something will be in it, whether
Hmm.
it's a legally allowed disinfecting chemical that causes cancer or the PFAS. The
Hmm.
other chemicals that are everywhere are called phthalate. And phthalates are very dangerous for the babies and our children. That's because women are exposed to them during pregnancy, especially through their cosmetics. And then they expose their children to the phthalates through personal care products. And phthalates are like microplastics that are put into cosmetics to affect their texture, to hold in fragrances and things like that. The problem is that they cause cognitive problems in our children. They interfere with our kids' metabolism of the sex hormones. And the brain and the gonads, our genitalia, both need the sex hormones to develop properly. And because of normal everyday exposures to phthalates, researchers find that kids with the highest levels that are still normal, they're just high normal.
Hmm.
These kids have lost IQ, they have language difficulties.
Mm.
They may have more ADHD. They have a higher risk for cancer as they grow up. And their gender behavior can be modified because, again, these hormones, their sex hormones, which impact brain development and therefore gender identity, are also being impacted by the phthalates. So
Right.
I share how you can avoid phthalates when you're shopping, especially for cosmetics. So that's
Hmm.
another really important everywhere
Hmm.
chemical.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like that one, at least now, I feel like that's an easy one to avoid because it's a lot of companies that are, adamant about not putting those in. It's on the packaging, like, phthalate free. So I feel like that's one that's probably pretty simple to
So I want to I want to bust your bubble on that,
please do.
dear
I'm
Hope.
here for to be
Dear
busted.
Hope, I want to bust your bubble. Listen, one of the cases that the Healthy Living Foundation has taken on is that it sued Johnson's Baby Products in
Hmm.
Washington, D.C. court under the Consumer Procedures Protection Act because Johnson's has built an entire campaign around no phthalates. But
Mm.
we tested their products, their baby shampoo, their bar soaps, and about 15 other types of products. They're all rich in phthalate.
Holy moly. So how
So
can
we
they
had to
put that
sue
on the
them.
labeling? How can they lie to
Well,
us?
that's why we sued them
Right.
because it's so deceptive and because
Yeah.
mom and dad want to bathe their baby in a
Right.
baby shampoo or in a baby bubble bath or wash their
Right.
baby's hair
Right.
and use the wipes and the bar soap without the phthalates. That was why
Hmm.
they bought it.
Hmm.
And we'll find out why all that happened, but we did file, we did tell Johnson's, and it's my job to tell other people not to buy these products because they do have phthalates.
That's
Now,
crazy.
some products are true to their claims.
Hmm.
Some products are.
Hmm.
Um, One way to ensure, I think, an even stronger way to buy safe products for your kids. And I write about doing cosmetic interventions actually in raising healthy kids because our kids really need help here. I have 3 kids. I know they do. Um, but one of the ways you can reduce your exposures to buy cosmetics and personal care products that use certified organic ingredients.
Okay, so that's a good way to
And
know.
that will go a long ways towards reducing your exposure. It's not that it's perfect,
Hmm.
but it's so much better. and the studies bear it out, that it will be far less inundated with chemical toxins and
Gotcha.
phthalates.
Yeah. So, I mean, and this is probably a question that you don't have the full answer to, but I mean, just you mentioned the one company. Well, how do we know? I mean, how do we know what other companies are lying to us with, what's on their packaging? Like, how do you know who to trust?
Okay, so that's a difficult one.
I
You
know.
don't know how the truth is, mom and dad. You don't know who to trust.
Right.
Some companies are going to lie to you, but most of the companies that are using certified organic ingredients are going to be honest. And every study I've looked at, whether it's organic foods, organic cosmetics, or low toxin, non-toxic cleaning products, show that these products truly are lower in
Mm-hmm.
chemical toxins. And that when you use them, mom and dad, your own kids, your kids and your levels of chemical toxins, they can be measured, for example, in the urine, go way down.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a world where you really, as a former president used to say, trust but verify, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
trust you, but I still need to verify. We just got to
Mm-hmm.
be super careful.
Right.
I'm giving you the way to do it in a world where you really can't trust all the claims,
Right.
but I'm giving you what the best odds are for really markedly reducing your exposure.
That makes sense. Yeah. So look for the organic. Okay. There's
Yes,
one
very
takeaway.
important.
Yes,
It
that's a good
really
one.
is important.
That's a good one. So what about like alternatives? So let's talk about like alternatives. So thinking of like house cleaning stuff, like stuff to clean your house, maybe things that you use with your laundry, like things like that, where a lot of these are full of like fragrance and all
Oh,
kinds of really
yes.
harsh chemicals. So
Yes.
are there alternatives? Are there like, what are your suggestions for those kind of things?
So I can give you one word for a good cleaning product brand and save
Okay.
you a lot of time.
Okay.
Ecos.
Oh,
Ecos,
eco. Okay.
also known as earth-friendly products. Our group has tested their products. They're free of dioxane. They list all their ingredients. They're virtually petrochemical free. I've toured their factories, and a lot of people. I tell these stories in Homesick, which is one of the chapters in Raising Healthy Kids. There's a group of teenagers in Salinas, California, who want to change their community, which is a largely Latino community. And they did a cleaning product study. And what they did is they attached air monitors to 50, I think it was 50 persons who clean homes
Mm-hmm.
to measure the amount of toxins that they were being exposed to that were volatilizing from the chemicals that were in the products they were cleaning with.
Mm-hmm.
They were really high in all sorts of carcinogens and reproductive toxins.
Mm.
Then they switched the persons to the safe products, and the levels of exposure went way down again. And again, when you're doing cleaning products, one of the lessons to learn is that clean isn't the smell of Fabuloso.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
A lot of people, this is the story I heard over and over again in Salinas, because they were talking about their aunts and their uncles. And like one teenager told me, she said, my mom thinks that everything has to smell like Fabuloso when she's cleaning around the home. She doesn't know I have asthma. And it was
Oh
really hurting
man.
me. So as I
Yeah.
became involved in this project and learned about safe cleaning products, I got my mom to switch. And then my tia, my aunt
Mm-hmm.
in Mexico, they couldn't find safe cleaning products, and everything was Fabuloso in Mexico where she lives. So we actually had to drive an hour to where we could find a larger store to get her the safe cleaning products,
Oh
because
my
her aunt was
gosh.
having respiratory difficulties
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So we had to bust the Fabuloso myth.
Well, I'm glad you said that because my husband and I have this conversation all the time because living in a city that's predominantly Hispanic, Fabuloso is very popular. And so he's always like, if even like the bleach smell, which I hate the bleach smell, he's, yeah, but it smells clean. I'm like, it's so toxic. So it's like this the whole thing. That is such a thing where it's like, well, it smells clean, so it has to be clean, right?
Well, and it's like a ritual too. Like one of the girls that I interviewed said that, every Saturday it was like for my mom and I, after my dad left, cleaning the home was like we would dance and clean.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
was kidding with it, but that fat, the fragrance was so strong.
Right.
And then they learned, you don't have to bring out the nukes to clean your home. You can use a little distilled white vinegar, a little liquid soap,
Hmm.
and some rubbing alcohol. and do a
Mm-hmm.
great job.
So there's your trick of rubbing alcohol.
Just put it in a little spray bottle, a little distilled white vinegar,
Uh-huh.
a little rubbing alcohol, a little water.
Mm-hmm.
You can use a little liquid soap like Dr. Bronner's,
Mm-hmm.
which is also a good product we've tested.
Mm-hmm.
And you can clean 99% of your home with just that mix. Save a
That's
lot of
perfect.
money too.
I was about to say it's a much cheaper way to do it too. I mean, you can get
Oh yeah.
distilled vinegar for, yeah,
Yeah,
dollars.
you don't need window cleaner, surface cleaner, multi-surface
Right,
cleaner,
right, right,
granite cleaner,
right.
porcelain cleaner. You can do it all with one simple bottle. Make your
Yeah.
life simple.
Yes, no kidding. Okay, well, the other thing I wanted to ask you about is fragrance in like candles, air fresheners, like all of that stuff, because that's a hard one for a lot of people because it's like, well, I want my house to smell good, right? I want my house to smell or my car, wherever they put, but those the air fresheners and like, the fragrance chemicals that are in things like those are really toxic too. So I would love for you to, if you have anything to say about those.
The air fresheners, anything with a synthetic fragrance that says fragrance on it is likely to have the phthalates we talked about. Even candles, even fragrance candles.
And you're breathing those in.
Oh yeah, well it's vaporized, it's
Right.
volatilizing right into the
Yeah.
air that you're breathing. And
Mm-hmm.
dust is like the Trojan horse of toxicity because everything we bring into our home eventually becomes part of the dust that we breathe in. So yeah, well, we're breathing. That's how our children get so exposed. So what you want to look for with air fresheners, number one, what I tell folks is, open your windows, number one, let fresh air in.
Yeah.
And two, you can find air fresheners now that are pumps, so they don't have butane, which you don't want because that will have some benzene in it. And the air fresheners that I like use essential oils, and so they're certified organic. And those are much safer, much, much safer
Mm-hmm.
for your home and your kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. What
Oh, and
are
no
mhm.
incense, no incense.
Oh, incense,
Don't
really?
burn incense around little kids
Mm,
because as the smoke goes up, it produces little what are called aromatic hydrocarbons
mm.
that like little burn. It's like burning carbon, and these
Okay.
form toxins that your kids breathe. So if you want to get soulful and spiritual and stuff, put the kids to sleep and then do your meditation.
Okay, are you gonna bust I like to sage my house. Am I doing a disservice if I'm saging my house?
Oh, say if you're staging.
Saging with sage. I bring
Oh,
sage. Please tell
I
me that that's
yeah,
okay.
are you I suppose if you're burning it, there might be a little,
Hmm.
but I don't think you'll get the phthalates.
Okay, well, this is
So
good.
and again, I'm not telling mom and dad to stay perfect because I'm
Yes.
not. And I raised three kids, and they're my hearts. They're the hearts that beat outside my body. So I'm not telling you to be perfect, but there are so many big things mom and dad can do,
Right.
um, that will just be so good for their kids.
Hmm.
And it's just a matter of knowing. So, if you want to do the sage, you can make up for it, with other things. Make sure you have safe, when your kids become teens, they all start buying fragrance, right? They buy
Hmm.
Canoe, English leather, and we
Hmm.
tested these products and they're really high in phthalates.
Yeah.
So you want to look for products that are claiming to use essential oils, for your teen kids too,
Hmm.
because it affects their reproductive capacity.
Right. Right. Right.
So you don't have to be perfect, and you'll make up for it in other areas.
Yeah. So, what do you think are, and you may have already said this once because I asked you the ones that were most prevalent, but what do you see, because you've tested and seen a lot, as the most dangerous chemicals that are out there that are causing the most issues?
I think one of the ones that are some of the ones that are so dangerous, it it's because they don't get talked about enough.
Mm,
And those are the ones showing up in our food supply, and particularly in our grains. Every single grain that the HLF has tested has had a nerve toxin in it called organophosphate pesticides. And these are sprayed on grains, on the silos. And what the problem is, these were developed in the 1930s as nerve gases to be used in chemical warfare, and then later developed into pesticides because they work the same way. They cause your body to not be able to break down a chemical called acetylcholine, and it builds up at your nerve synapses, and you can't function, you go into spasms. So this is what the organophosphates do. But what mom and dad don't know is that it's in every slice of bread they're serving their kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell mom and dad one of the smartest, easiest things to do is switch over to organic bread and avoid them. Then I point out, well, there's a myth about organic being more expensive. It's not. And I show you how to shop for organics and to make it uh, as the price the same as conventionally sourced foods. And that's really important because you want to make sure that your kids' apples, oranges, lettuce, celery, carrots, tomatoes, peppers, cukes, all of these are organic. And I show you, you can buy these now, especially when you shop online and look for sales and in-season shopping. Because of all the 20 years of advocacy, people like so many people have done, we've created an organic market that's now fairly competitively priced.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So I tell mom and dad, that's where the organophosphate pesticides are. So buy
Mm-hmm.
organic. And the studies show that your kids' levels of organophosphates will go way down. And what
Mm-hmm.
do mom and dad and the kids get out of it? Less ADHD, better behaved kids, higher cognitive function. They will
Mm-hmm.
do better in school. It's a winning situation.
Totally. Well, and I've seen so many articles and I've seen research on this too, and then just people just like conversations firsthand that for so long they thought they had a gluten sensitivity when it was really the chemicals that were on inorganic flour, and once they switched to organic, like cold milled or stone milled flour or whatever, but the organic stuff, all of a sudden their quote unquote gluten sensitivity that they thought they had went away, but it was really a reaction to the chemicals that are on the inorganic flour.
I think organic foods overall promote a healthier body.
Yeah.
And the studies show that when you eat organic foods, you have less allergies. So that might help with the gluten
Mm-hmm.
intolerance. I don't know,
Right.
that might. But you also have less diabetes, less obesity, and organic diets during pregnancy mean less complications.
Mm.
So it's a really winning situation. Even if you binge, like a lot of us like to binge eat, I won't talk about last night's disaster. But
No
we all
judgment.
like to binge eat. But if you do it with organic foods and there'll be like less sugar, they'll be a little healthier.
Right.
Your binges will do less damage too.
Right. Yeah. Well, they're more nutrient dense, right? I mean, the organic
Yes.
stuff is more nutrient dense. And so you're getting more nutrients. So then you're more satiated. And it's like a whole, yeah, I mean, it all totally makes sense. And I have a personal question though, because I know like when I hear about all this and I hear about like, companies are lying to us and we can't trust things that we're reading on a label, and the fact that our government is allowing all of these quote unquote safe, relatively safe for use or whatever chemicals and things and in our water system. Does it how do you how do I ask the question, how do you not get so just like disillusioned? Like, does it still make you angry? Like, does it still cause a reaction? Because I mean, you've been doing this for a long time and you're seeing it firsthand, like the damage that is, that is we're allowing to, we don't have really control over what, people are allowed to put in the food. But does it still, do you feel emotions on that still?
Yeah, I feel betrayed
Yeah.
all the time. I feel pushed around. I feel lied to,
Mm-hmm.
taken advantage of. I mean, I think all of us do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel it intensively because, I was poisoned when I was a kid. I wonder why didn't someone say, hey, it's a stupid idea to dump 2,000 tons of DDT where everybody
Gosh,
fishes?
that's
Why were there no adults in the room?
mm-hmm.
Why are there no adults now in Washington?
Right.
Why are they lying to us all the time? I'm not a conspiracy person, but we get lied to. It's the eternal recurrence. Nietzsche wrote about it. It's the people have been lying to us since, before Jesus. We've
Mm-hmm.
been lied to and lied
Right.
to afterwards. But what fills me with hope? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
What fills you with hope? And I have a lot of hope and I have a lot of faith that I know we're making a difference. And I can tell you how we're making a difference. To start my book, Raising Healthy Kids, I took another trip to Salinas, California, and I told you about the teens there. This is a farm town. All the homes and the schools are carved out of farm fields. So when you go there, you'll see a huge amount of lettuce fields, strawberry fields, carrot fields, and then a little school in the middle of them.
Hmm.
And for years, the kids at these schools were being exposed to those organophosphate pesticides because they were being sprayed on all the lettuce and strawberry fields that were around the schools.
Right.
I returned to the schools for the writing of my book, and I was out there and I was looking at the fields, and they were all organic, all around the schools. 15 years later, there were organic strawberry fields, organic
Wow.
lettuce fields. And I called one of the teachers. I said, Oscar, what's happening? And Oscar said, well, it's from people like you who are buying all those organic strawberries, all that organic lettuce. You created the market demand,
Hmm.
and the farmers responded. And now when the kids go to school, their schools are surrounded by organic farm fields. They're much healthier. And I realized then I was kind of crying. I was saying, wow, my shopping helped kids I didn't even know.
Yeah, that's
So
incredible.
that to me was a miracle. And
Yeah.
it filled me with hope.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
see that all the time, that we do have an organic food market, that we do have organic cosmetics, clean greening products, that people are starting to say no to too much plastic or neoprene. This movement, this anti-toxic movement, is so young. It didn't even begin till the 70s.
Hmm.
We didn't even have the words like parts per million, parts per billion, dioxin, environmental impact report. We didn't level of detection. We didn't have words like that. We didn't have the
Hmm.
vocabulary. We were really shooting in the dark. We're creating
Hmm.
light, and we've created these markets. So when our kids are shopping today and buying, like going to Shake Shack and getting a healthier fast food burger instead of McDonald's. That's because of what we've done.
Hmm.
So yeah, they're lying to us all the time. I'm not listening to it. I'm finding the truth and
Hmm.
speaking it, and we're making a difference.
Hmm.
That's what fills me with hope.
I love that. And what a difference you're making. I mean, I think this is filling everybody with hope because I think, like, I mean, you made the point. I think we can all, like you were saying, that the effects of your purchases are affecting the kids in California, their schools around that. Like, I think we can, they always say, you can make the choice with your pocketbook, but it really does. I mean, it really does make a difference when we're choosing to buy organic or, choosing to go to the local farmers market and buying from, local farmers who, grow their things organically, like that kind of thing.
Also, though, you're talking about being lied to. One of the things I do go into is know your community.
Mm,
And I was just thinking about it. A lot of people don't know their communities have what are called ethylene oxide plants that emit low levels of ethylene oxide. And they're especially placed in vulnerable communities.
mm,
Companies look for the most vulnerable communities to put their most toxic plants because they know that people won't fight back and they can buy the local leaders with a few cents, a few
hmm.
dollars. So I noticed that there's a lot of communities with ethylene oxide plants. I show you where they are in raising healthy kids to know, because these are some of the silent things that people need to know about.
Right.
Because as it's known as EO, ethylene oxide is a very strong human carcinogen. And if it's in the air you're breathing and it's in your neighborhood, you got to get air filters into your home
Hmm.
and take action. And so
Right.
there's a lot of things, that you do have to know. You
Yeah.
do have to know.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for being the one that's leading the way in this. And I'm excited for everybody to check out your book because, I mean, you're teaching us all so much and you're helping us to live a more non-toxic life. And, I think just the chain reaction, the ripple effect is just going to be far reaching because we can teach our kids and they can teach their kids. And I do think you are making a difference. So I think you're helping us all make a difference too. So I thank you for your years of commitment to this and for going into the trenches for all of us and speaking truth and uncovering the truth and all that. So I applaud you and appreciate all the work that you've done with this so far.
Oh, thank you. It's been great talking to you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had a wonderful time.
Yes, I have one more question that I want to ask you that I like to ask everybody, but before I ask you that, you mentioned your book and you have other books. So can you just let everybody know where they can learn more about you and your books and all the things that you have out there?
Sure. You can go to any search engine and put in Raising Healthy Kids and my name, David Steinman. And Raising Healthy Kids, the book is available at Barnes and Noble independent sellers, Amazon. You can get advanced copies now.
Perfect.
And you can get in touch with me at my website, davidsteinman.us or davidwilliamsteinman.com. And I have stories about my work and what we're working on and places I'm going, Louisiana, Cancer Alley, and people I'm meeting. So I find it very inspiring. There's a lot of great people in our community, and I'm so honored to be able to share their stories.
Yeah, that's amazing. Of course, I'll put the links to all that in the show notes. Y'all go check it out and definitely check out his new book that's coming. The last question that I want to ask you, David, what do you think is the most important thing you can do to live with purpose?
Such a great question. Service to others. Service to others. I really think it's important. And I'm in service to everyone because I'm what do they say, a journeyman on my journey, Pilgrim's Progress. So yeah, I want to help other people. If you can, do it, because that's the extra strength that keeps you living longer. Service to others. But take care of yourself. Really, it's really important. A lot of people think it's not right if they spend me time. They think it all has to be for the kids or someone else, or it's indulgent.
Right.
And it's not. As you get older, that me time is what helps you to stay together. Service to others and taking care of yourself.
I love that. I love that. That's such a good answer. Thank you so much, David. I love this conversation and so many gems that people are taking away with today. So thank you so much for sharing all of this and spending time with us.
Thank you, Pope.
Thanks for listening to Hopeful and Wholesome, y'all. If you found value in this week's episode, please subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave a review to let me know what you thought. I'd love to know what you find useful in these episodes so I can know how to provide the most value I can to my listeners. And if you have topics you'd like to know more about, I'd love to hear those as well. So shoot me a message on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. It's @TheHopePedraza, or you can visit my website, hopefulandwholesome.com. Thanks, y'all.